So there we go. We are now live. So again, the multi-purpose room. Over here we have optional internals, so you can actually like install custom modules. Although there's an assembler right here for those of you who really need to like make stuff happen on the elevator. There's we've been working really hard on making sure this is lightweight. So we would have put a farm. We actually had a farm here for a little bit, but that has been removed because the irrigation system is like it's really heavy. So yeah, batteries are mounted directly into the core, so that you have so that just it's out of the way. It's not a problem. And yeah. Now, this catwalk's a little bit bent. So yeah, the batteries are in the core, and just looking at the gearbox design, we have scrapped this like, I don't know how many times it's been, but it's ridiculous. On this gearbox, we have, and a few others, we have just like the centerpiece sloped backward. This way the elevator can swerve left and right on the track and say something goes wrong during operation. Now, this catwalk here actually does retract. It is not working at the moment. I'm sure it'll fix itself soon. So, stepping up onto the second deck, we are right into the passenger quarters. We have been also working on making sure this is a DLC-free build. Well, not DLC, but free, but pretty close to that. So a lot of instruments that would, yeah, a lot of instruments that would make this just break would be, and break that rule would have just been removed. We've installed transparent LCDs to cover up the wheels, because, well, wheels aren't fully pressurized. Over here we actually have the AI core. This is not exactly what it sounds like, but it is really complicated scripting that makes the elevator function. It is this has been installed to basically allow for autopilot, and we've been hard at work to make this a truly revolutionary piece of pretty much autopilot that we've ever made. Stepping out onto the landing pad, we have a gorgeous view of pretty much the entire front, and you can put whatever you want on it. We actually were testing. If I go over here, okay, the ship's not here. We were testing some really heavy ships, like from the early days of Space Engineers on this landing pad. It was able to take it. We're still figuring that out, and like I said, we're about midterms through testing. And yeah, there's the connector on the top, which is specifically when this connector actually fires up as a trigger for the autopilot when you are docking with an orbital station. Now, I've said enough. Let's put this thing in operation. So right off the bat, the toolbar is a bit obnoxious. We are still, because this is in debug phase. But like, press P to release the brakes. I left autopilot on. And W and S to move up and down. And of course, spacebar to brake. Now, I should mention that when autopilot is on, you cannot move the elevator. It's like, if I turn on autopilot, I'm holding W right now, it is not doing a thing. I've just shut that off again. So, the reason why this is this isn't unintentional. It's simply because, well, we are actually inverting the wheel directions. So There's an invert for manual control and an invert for autopilot control. Now the autopilot, yeah, I am aware. Now with the autopilot, you can also, let's just turn on autopilot to go up for a bit. Works really nicely, and we'll actually send it back down. So yeah, you can see it's auto braking with the speed in the corner. And then on landing trigger, which is at 500 meters, it will drop that speed even more to around 15 meters a second. And it does this landing really nicely. Like, it doesn't have, we've been stress testing this landing, but if it has a connector at the bottom, or if at least if the sensor detects terrain, it'll shut off the autopilot, and you've docked. Simple as that. Let's shut that off, and let's actually go up to space. The diameter of this planet has been set to, I think, 30 kilometers. So we don't actually, it's like because planet diameter does affect the track length exponentially. And so because I've set this to I think a 15 or 30 kilometer planet diameter size, we should reach space pretty quickly. So there we go. Now we are passing. You can see in the bottom that that our P gravity is now starting to go down. I've put up GPSs along the track as like indicators. So A gravity fallout, which is up next, is 0.50 G. Once we pass that, yeah. So we did actually have a gravity drive installed on the elevator for a little bit. However, that has been taken out due to complications. Where you're seeing those timer blocks on the sides, that was actually where the gravity drive compartment was. We're doing our best to make sure the autopilot control system is clean and not just piled everywhere. However, it is pretty tough. Now, world damage is off at the moment, but this thing can operates pretty nicely with the damage setting turned on. We have been testing this. This is an entire branch of testing, and like every time it performs flawlessly with damage turned on. Now, you may notice those gray markers on the track. Those are track transitions. So the track is cut up into this track specifically is cut up into sections of 500 blocks. We'll stop at this one actually. But like, yeah, you can see how there is the it's just connectors, and the space elevator tracks themselves are converted to station type grids, so they cannot wobble. Now we're gonna actually switch back to autopilot and go back up, because I kind of want to show that off. Good, that's working. And yeah, it is a really the autopilot has been just giving me headaches when we work on this. And shout out to Blue Bear in the chat for helping with like operating the thing during testing, because he has been doing that and he's been doing a very good job with it. So yeah, the thing has a broadcast antenna on the front, so it's able to so you can basically just see it wherever. And now the nice thing about autopilot is you don't have to be in the seat. You can be anywhere you would like, and when autopilot is active. You could literally just be flying dampeners to the side. You don't even have to do anything. This is how automatic we are talking. Like, this has been just stressful for me trying to get this all to work, but in the end, it's worth it. And now we have the wheels in themselves. We've been working pretty hard on these, and it's worth mentioning. Oh, docking trigger. It's worth mentioning that the wheels are DLC. That's because we cannot do standard type wheels without it being too unstable. And just like that, docking is completed. Now, docking is triggered by a sensor that detects that orange pole that you saw. So this pole is extended downward, and basically the sensor picks it up, fires up the brakes, and yeah, it stops. Now, the autopilot was supposed to actually lock these connectors, but it didn't do that, so we'll have to check that a bit later. Basically, on the docking sequence, actually, instead of it being a ground sensor detecting the ground, like right here, we just have an event controller talking about if these two are ready to connect, it shuts off autopilot. Now, we've also been working hard on emergency systems, like the emergency brakes, which, is that set up? Yes. Which I will, now proceed to demonstrate. So, I have to hit, like, a different, altitude in the planet in order for this to work. But, here's just a quick demonstration of what the emergency brakes do and how fast it works. And we've stopped. We have a separate timer set up to revert the emergency brakes, and that is not actually being bound to my hotbar. So, yeah. It's remarkably stable. We have a connector on board and everything. And if you've noticed those like little tiny arms sticking out the back, those are counterweights. So let's say a ship has been docked to it and it's really, really heavy, the elevator can still operate normally. And yeah, it's quite stable. Alright, so we're about to hit 110 ms. And we have had a successful emergency brake up to 150 meters a second. So I'm going to hit this when we hit 110. And go. Now you can see it does a bit of drifting. We've discovered that emergency brakes only work after passing the track transition, which is very odd. We're trying to figure out why that is happening, but... Revert. Oh, shoot. And so yeah, that's one of the problems that we're facing, and we're testing that. And if you're wondering why exactly mass is such a big important factor, and just going back to the counterweights, but like why it's such an important factor, mass with the elevator is really important because we want to keep the design lightweight so that we don't have like the whole thing shifting back and forth during operation. It's also an important piece because if the elevator exceeds like, we have it budgeted at like 900,000 kilograms maximum load, including its own mass. So, but if it like exceeds that number, it will not be able to leave gravity, assuming the conditions are 1G. We're still trying to nail down the maximum capacity for this, but it is, let me tell you, it is very strong right now. Now, if you are wondering what exactly these wheels are on the sides, these are actually stabilizers. So they don't actually propel the elevator or anything. They just say the elevator suddenly goes sideways. They act as a spring. So, these ones currently aren't like operating, but they are like they aren't spinning, but they are all active. And say the elevator just goes sideways because of clang. We've had so many instances where clangs just tried to ruin everything. But say that happens, you could just, the wheels will just absorb all the impact and keep it stable. Because those wheels exist, we've also managed to keep the design free of a gyroscope of any kind. Alright, we're coming in for a landing right about now. And so, yeah. We have the, we've also well lit the landing pad during the night. So let's just make it night real quick. So you can still see the landing pad during the night, and you can like land on it when that's a problem, when visibility is a problem. Fog conditions, however, you would have to rely on the front antenna. We've also gone ahead and installed springs, which are just another form of wheels, on the base for this because, well, it's best to keep this springed up instead of having just be a solid impact on the surface and which could potentially destroy it. Now, autopilot does have a bit of a known issue at the moment where it is trying to push the wheels into the ground instead of relaxing on them. So that's another problem for a future date. So like, as you can see, we are doing a lot of stress testing, making sure this works the way it should be. And yeah. This will be published to the Steam Workshop pretty soon. Once we figure out what's going wrong with the rest of the testing. Do we have any questions in the chat? Because I'll be taking Q&As now.
No, I don't.
That's surprising. Anyone else? That's not gone to plan whatsoever. It's worth mentioning that the overall integrity of the elevator is somewhat low, as you might have noticed. This is because Apex is not designed to sustain weapons fire. However, the track being made out of blast door is. Now this blast door can also be ground down in case you're in survival and you don't want to have to bother putting in like 125 steel plates just to build one section. So Apex will happily drive over this deconstructed block right here without causing damage to it or itself.
Just me and Bear in audience and Rover on speakers and TTS bot.
Now, looking at the terminal for all of you tech nerds, we have also applied a naming scheme to the entire system. Now we're still working on it, and this will change a lot while we are developing the elevator. But mainly, everything is going to be named under the keyword Apex. So the motor assembly, which is all the wheels, the assembler, respawn station, all of that, all going to be named under Apex. Now, this will also be survival ready without including stuff like onboard components for starting a series. So you'll have to build the elevator yourself, and this is a mostly projector supportive blueprint, with the exception of this piston. Now, the piston, it's pretty simple to build, so we're pretty passionate. It's legit just a catwalk put on the piston that goes right into the wheels, allows for a boarding ramp. And now you can actually get away without building this. It's just you'll have to jetpack onto the elevator. So we have that just in case someone's run out of hydrogen and they're still working on it on the elevator. Now we will also provide a full-on base, which we're still working on, that will be part of the blueprint, including a gantry and everything else that you most likely need when you're building this thing. So it'll be supportive of servers, mindful of them, and we will be making sure that the whole thing works. Because right now we're really trying to get things working, especially with autopilot. Crap. Autopilot does work pretty well. We've got emergency brake triggers, so you won't be able to actually exceed the speed limit in the future. So, yeah. But even if that fires up on a delay, it'll still run. And the elevator's actually optimized. You may have noticed that we are running an unlimited speed mod on the server. This is just for convenience. Now, the elevator is most optimized to run without the unlimited speed mod, but just in case changes of the speed limit of the game occur when you're building it, you will still be able to do it. It will still be able to run normally. Now, we do have some developers actually working on a dedicated track constructor for the elevator. However, sadly, this has not been transferred to this dev site, and unfortunately, I cannot show you what exactly it looks like so far. Whoa. So, yes, we have been working really hard on the elevator. This has been in development for like 6 months. We're really proud of it, and we cannot wait to launch it to the workshop. So, thank you all for coming. I will, how do I end this? Thank you all for coming. I hope everyone has a good day. Again, stay tuned, take a look at the announcements, and we should be able to launch this
Discord is bugging
soon.
right now.
Okay. Thank you all.
Now it stopped bugging.
And it looks like we're having a bit of technical difficulties. Alright.